Welcome back to The Travel Strategist. Today's topic is all about eSIMs. I know this is a heavily talked about topic on YouTube, but I'm going to give you a slightly different perspective. From my point of view, I still need to be able to receive calls and text as if I'm still physically in the US. I cannot do that with Google Voice because at that point I'm only receiving the text over Wi-Fi, so that's a no-go for me. Also, a lot of people recommend using or supplementing their international data with eSIMs. And yes, that's a great option for data, but that doesn't help you with porting your number over to somewhere like a Google Voice to get the international text. So no matter what, if you're keeping your US number, it's going to be expensive, more expensive to do that versus using international data only. So how do you do that? The most popular way to save on your monthly plan if your total international trip is less than 3 months is to go with Google Fi. Okay, let's get started with Google Fi. Google Fi is a great option for shorter trips, and I'll get into that in a little bit of why the shorter trips matter. But at the price point of $65, you get to keep your US number. The eSIM is very easy to install. You could do this on your way to the airport before you fly out of the US. It has great speeds and coverage internationally. I had no issues whatsoever with receiving calls, texts, or using data. But there are a couple downsides. You need to be in the US to install either the physical SIM card or the eSIM before you can start using international data. So if you've already left to be abroad, you cannot download the eSIM and use Google Fi. Also, the reason it's only meant for shorter trips, you can only use the international data for 90 consecutive days being outside the US. So if you're planning on making a longer trip, this is not the plan for you. Now let's look at Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile was actually the first company that I used on my first international trip, but I no longer use it because they changed their international options. So let's get into it. Mint Mobile is going to be $45 as your entry for the first 3 months. All the plans right now are on sale to where you can even get unlimited data for the first 3 months at that same rate. And it's also great for keeping your US number. You can receive international calls and texts with this number if you get the international plan. You can also download the eSIM abroad. I've done that myself and it works. It has decent enough coverage to receive some calls and texts, but it's not great coverage, I'll be honest with that. And the new international 10-day pass is not a great option for long day use because it's $20 for each 10 days pass. Next up is U.S. Mobile. This is my new carrier, and I think this is a game changer because it's kind of the best of both worlds with respect to Mint Mobile and Google Fi. I'm going to be looking exclusively at the monthly plans, and I'll get into that at the end of why I'm doing that. Because I like U.S. Mobile because they have the option for a monthly plan that is less price than Google Fi, but also has more data at 100 gigabytes premium data, 50 gigabytes hotspot. International calling and texting is included with the unlimited premium plan. It also has this great feature of free teleports, and that means you can switch back and forth between the different networks. Let's say in the US, they have the main networks as Verizon and T-Mobile. You can switch back and forth between those. US Mobile is also great because you can keep your US number similar to the other options with Mint Mobile and Google Fi, except this one does not have a time restriction. So you could be out of the country for 1 year and still keep US number, not have any issues with the data like you would with Google Fi. It also can be installed abroad. So you could be already traveling, you already left the US, and maybe you didn't do enough research and you're just seeing this video, just finding out about US Mobile, you can download this eSIM from abroad. US Mobile recommends the star speed option as your international preferred option. However, for me being in Vietnam right now, I only found this out through the customer support. They recommended using light speed. So this option doesn't have the same data priority level, but that was my best option for being in Vietnam. So this may change when you travel to different locations, different regions, but because of the teleports, you can change back and forth. The teleports are included with this unlimited plan, so you can change back and forth between Warp, Lightspeed, and Dark Star. Also, the 30-day trial option that is offered on the main screen is not including international data or international calls and text. That is only an option for you to try out this service while still in the US. So as I was going through the tech support, figuring out why my eSIM was not working at first when I installed it abroad, they told me that you have to get off the trial version into the regular paid version before the international data and international calling and texting is included. So I did that, and now it works fine. Okay, now we're looking at the benefits of my American Express Business Platinum card. And there's two benefits with this card that make it more valuable for me to use the monthly option for payment on my wireless plans versus an annualized plan. And that is because of this wireless credit. First of all, I can get $10 a month. So the previous price that I told you with U.S Mobile, I can get a $10 credit on that. Instead of paying $44 per month, I can knock that down to $34 and still have the international data and calling and texting. Now another benefit, let's scroll down and find it. Whenever I pay my monthly bill with this business platinum card, I get monthly insurance on the phone in case it gets lost, stolen, beat up, where I need to replace the phone. I have that insurance coverage included on this card. Huge benefit. Let's do a quick recap of my decision-making process in choosing an international eSIM. Starting with Google Voice, that is a good option for personal use only. And I say that because there's kind of mixed reviews going around of how Google Voice works with getting SMS verifications for doing like getting a two-factor authentication from your bank, that sort of thing. Also, you have to be within the US to port your number. So if you're like me, already traveling, that's not an option. Next up is Google Fi. Google Fi is amazing for short-term use if you're making a trip less than 3 months. But for me, I'm a long-term, full-time traveler, so that doesn't work for me. I reverted back to Mint Mobile as a emergency use case because they allowed me to port my number while abroad, but that is only good for short-term use because it's so expensive. It's $20 per every 10 days, $60 a month just for the international portion. Plus, you're basically committing to a longer term of at least 3 months at a time with Mint Mobile because that's the lowest plan that you can purchase. So for me, that left me looking for another option with U.S. Mobile. U.S. Mobile, I think, is the best of both worlds because you can get a relatively low monthly rate. You can pay on a monthly basis at $44 per month to get the international data, calling and texting included, which includes 5 gigabytes of international data. And that allows me to get my SMS verifications and make calls the same way as if I'm in the US and operate my house flipping business from abroad. Also, I love the fact that US Mobile has their teleports option where you can switch from different carriers while you're traveling or while you're within the US. If you want to switch from, let's say, T-Mobile to Verizon network or AT&T network, you can switch between all three. That is awesome. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this one and got some value out of it because it can save you some money in your upcoming travels. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hit that like button. And if you know that someone else is traveling soon, share this video with them. That way they can save some money on their travels as well. And we'll see you in the next video.